I'm David. This is Elle, we're two of the founders of JumpstartGo, who runs this Facebook group that you guys are watching this in right now, the Marketing for Insurance Agents Facebook group. And we help insurance agents double, triple their production, fire their lead vendor, and ditch smiling and dialing forever through organic marketing strategies. So we founded JumpstartGo back in 2018. We've created that Facebook group around then as well. It's now grown to over 33,000 insurance agents all across the country as part of this group. We've consulted for over 550 plus different agencies in the insurance industry and agents, and we generated somewhere between $3.5 to $4 million from social media. And we teach our clients how to grow through organic strategies. So not only do they grow, but grow more profitably, more in control of their business, and the types of clients that have coming in that are higher quality, want to work with them and stay clients and send a bunch of referrals. So that's what we really focus on. So if that's what you're looking to learn more of and grow your insurance business, then you're in the right spot, as well as plenty of people to connect with as a part of this group and community, which is why we created this Facebook group as well. So let me go ahead and tee up what we're going to be talking about tonight. So for tonight, I think this got a lot of attention because this is really important. In fact, we did this training recently as far as how do I get clients like now? What are some things like today, next few days, I can go ahead and start putting in place that can help me bring in business? And it's number one thing agents are normally asking, right? So today we're gonna talk about 3 quick ways to get clients like now, Aura, like now. So I'll say it in Spanish too, right? And so if I needed to sign clients yesterday, there's 3 proven and rapid growth ways to find right fit and quality prospects, right? We still want them to be quality, right? And start having conversations that turn into sales today. So Elle, let's talk first about how you can connect with potential clients using our favorite thing, social media, right? So Elle, talk a little bit about that, because a lot of people might be like, what does that mean?
Yeah. So one of the things that we see happen quite often with a lot of the clients that we work with is, especially if they aren't really using social media for their business, is simply like optimizing their profiles on social media so that it's geared less towards just kind of like being personal profile, but it's really tailored to reaching their specific target market. So one of the things that is really important with this is first knowing who your target market is. Who is it that you're really looking to use social media to connect with, or who's a really good ideal fit client for you, whether that's certain types of business owners that you can help. Maybe it's people that are like new to entrepreneurship, new to business, or maybe it's people that are, they own businesses and have, 10 employees, 50 employees, or they drive commercial vehicles, things like that. Maybe it's families with young kids, or maybe it's seniors that their kids are grown and out of the house and they're now living out their golden years. Whoever your target market is, it's really important that first you know who you're looking to connect with your marketing. That's very foundational to what David and I talk about, but that your market can also come to your profile. They can find you on social media, and at a glance, they can tell that you can help them. And so that's really, really key. A lot of times when we do reviews of social media profiles, most people are kind of operating in this secret agent status where you go to their profiles and you really can't tell that they're in the business of insurance. They're incognito. Like you have no idea. So if you want to start using social media to generate opportunities and generate conversation, which really this is what this presentation is going to be geared around, is like you first need to have conversations with people before you can make sales. So I also find that a lot of times people are like too focused on the sales outcome itself instead of the activities and the smaller steps that they can take that open doors for them to have more conversations with qualified people, with the right fit client. So that's going to be step 1 with social media, is really optimizing and tailoring your profile to that target market. David, do you have anything that you want to add to that piece?
I mean, I think people think it is funny. Thanks, Jenna. I do try to be entertaining and have a good time, right? Because that's part of it too. Like growing your business can be fun, and social media can be a very fun way to get you, your personality, who you would want to even working with you all that can be done through social, so you can actually enjoy what you're doing, less smiling and dialing and more actually enjoyably getting to connect and bring in clients and everything through that. But the one thing you can't do, which re-emphasizing over and over, is you can't be a secret agent. You can't let no one know what you do, who you can help, how you can help them. And if you're not letting anybody know, it's impossible for them to come to you, both as prospects, but also for referrals, or as even referral partners that might be really amazing businesses that could send a lot of people over to you, but they have no idea what you do, right? So, and I think that's really, really important. In fact, I'll give you an example. We actually had a client of ours a while back end up reaching out, not being a secret agent, and connecting with the mayor of their town. And it was right before September, which was Life Insurance Awareness Month, and was asking, talking with the mayor. I was like, hey, what do we got planned for Life Insurance Awareness Month for our city? He's like, oh, you know what? I don't think we actually have much plan. Would you like to be the face of Life Insurance Awareness Month and head that up for the city and be the person running it all? And she said yes. And she got a ton of business coming through that, a lot of exposure. Once again, but just not by being a secret agent and having conversations. So that's what we're talking about here. Social media is made to connect. It's made to be social. It's made to interact and get in front of people, even people you don't know. And so we can't just don't want to be a secret agent, and that's a big part of that.
Love it. And I love that you shared that story too. And social media can open up so many opportunities. I just find that a lot of times, like, we're not taking some of those steps to just let people know what we do. Very simply, we make assumptions that people know, or sometimes it can feel like, oh, well, I don't want to be too like business-like on social media, or want to keep my personal, and I want to keep my business. But what we talk about all the time is that people do business with people, not with businesses. So the more that you can really blend together the personal and the business and really show up as like a real human being that also knows what you're talking about and also can help a specific group of people, that's one of the best ways to really start out on social, especially if you've got a little bit of maybe a following, maybe you just haven't been super active on social. Optimizing that profile and starting to let people know what you do. It sounds very simple, and it is a very simple step that you can start taking today. We've got clients sometimes that do this, and they have people that start reaching out to them almost immediately that they're already connected with. And they're like, oh, I didn't really know that you were doing that. Or do you think that you might be able to help me? So you probably will surprise yourself on the people that will come out of the woodwork. One of our clients posted that he had somebody that he had dated like back when he was a teenager or something like that, back in high school, that I guess he was still connected with on Facebook, saw him post and reached out to him recently about health insurance for herself and for her husband. So you really just don't even know sometimes who's in your audience. So that's a really good step. And then there is a specific type of post that David and I really, really love. And this can be kind of geared multiple ways, but the premise of this, and this is going to be a thread through our training today, is going to be asking your audience for help. And so you could ask your audience for help in setting up practice presentations. So that could be like a role play where you're doing like a mock call with them. We teach our agents to do that a lot. This could be asking for help for referrals. So don't just ask like for referrals of like, do you know anybody? Be specific in the way that you ask. Again, that's geared towards your target market. So if you love working with hair salon owners, make sure that you're specific and asking, hey, I'm looking to connect with, hey, audience, or like, hey, friends on Facebook, I need help. I'm looking to connect with 3 hair salon owners by the end of today or by the end of the week. Who do you know that you can connect me with? That's a very specific way that you can ask your audience to make an introduction, make a connection for you. You can also, we talked about this today in our client training with the Closers Click crew. We talked about how to ask for doing research. If you're still trying to figure out who's my target market, who's my target audience that I do really want to serve through my product, you can also ask your audience for help in the asking because you're wanting to do more market research. You're wanting to have conversations with people that you think would be a good fit, a good target market. And then you want to ask them questions when you have that conversation with them about what their needs are, asking them about insurance. Do they have anything in place? When was the last time that they did reviews? And then again, making sure that you're asking for referrals or people that they know that might be interested in sitting down with you. So all of this is geared toward having conversations. And so yes, this presentation is on how you can get clients as soon as possible, but the earlier action that's going to lead to you having clients is having conversations. That's the number one metric that David and I look at, is how many conversations our agents are having, how many conversations our team is having. Because at the end of the day, it's conversations that are going to open the door for you to make sales. David, anything else that you want to add to that?
So I'll find that a lot of people like, hey, I'm happy to talk to anybody in person. They get nervous or a little scared on social, just mostly because they don't necessarily know how that works or how to approach or how to talk to people on social, but they do really well in person. It's like, if I can just put that same skill set into practice on social, they'll knock it out of the park and it'll be huge for them.
Love it. All right, David, I would love for you to share a little bit about this one. And as far as using connections that you already have, what are some ways? I think I really try to like steer away from terms as far as like warm market. We definitely don't want to think about like that we're out here like begging friends and families for referrals or anything like that. But what would you say is one of the number one most overlooked opportunities for agents, agency owners, especially if they're already writing business?
So overall, like, we're not talking like people that trust you. Yeah, Linda, that's good. That's a part of it, but even more so than that. So I'll go ahead and, as the answers are rolling in here, it is, yes, past clients, right? So it's people that have already purchased from you, that have already had enough level of trust that they actually have put something in place and worked with you. So that are the people that are most likely to get help from you again, and maybe a different capacity as far as a cross-sell, or for connecting you with a referral because it has been such a great experience of you helping them, that then they want to connect you to help others that they also usually know, because most people interact with a lot of people similar to them, which if you helped one person, then they most likely are connected with others that could absolutely use your help as well. So the very first thing we want to talk about of using the connections you already have is the very first thing is existing client base, right? So we want to reach out, and we should be touching base anyways with our clients fairly often. If we have a lot of clients and, really want to maximize our time, yes, we might be using automation, a few things for some of those touch points that we then go along with still our manual touch points as well. Nothing replaces us spending a little time with each of our clients and checking every so often, even if at scale, that it can only be so often, right? So we want to reach out, we want to touch base with them, and we connect with our clients to touch base, see how everything's going. A few things can happen. Either one, we're identifying additional areas where we haven't helped them before or had a discussion or even got them information, which if we're insurance agents and our job is to protect people, we got to at least get them the information and kind of talk about something with them. You'd be so surprised about, let me just use an example of how like many Medicare agents, for example, never sit down and talk about life insurance with their clients, even though it's something very, very important and something that their clients need and would love to have that discussion with them. And so once again, like we had a client come to us who had thousands of Medicare clients and hadn't sat down with less than 5% of them to talk about life insurance. It was like, oh, well, I guess that's really an opportunity. He sat down, doubled his entire business in 2.5 months for having the conversations that they wanted to have in the first place. They weren't like, oh no, you're trying to sell me something else. They're like, oh, that's important. Yes, absolutely would like to put something in place there. And some of that's just for us not having these conversations. And especially if we're very transactional, like where we just close a sale and move on to the next and never talk to them again, well, of course, we're not going to get additional opportunities there. So that's why it's important to touch base with our existing client base and have these conversations for one, cross sells. So yeah, if we've helped them in one area, what else can we help them with? What else do they need that we're adding additional value? And that way they're even for longer, persistency is even better, even more opportunities there, but also through those connections, whether maybe they they've got taken care of everything that we can help them with right now. Well, maybe that's then the referrals as well. By sitting down and having these conversations and asking for referrals in the right way, not passively, then we actually get referrals and opportunities, then connect and help others as well. And that is a lot of additional business. In fact, I would say the easier business, because this is the stuff that closes at a very high rate, that is really good conversations of people that are open to talking to you. And this is what a lot of agents are leaving out, not spending any time on, or just not really prioritizing. So I'd say that's probably the first thing as far as connecting with using connections you already have. And that's the highest value ones already off the bat. But there's some other ways of connecting, even if you maybe don't even have clients yet, or maybe you are doing that regularly to clients. What are some other ways?
Yeah. And I just want to share before we move away from the existing clients, one of our clients last week closed a policy for $108,000 in annual premium, simply because he built in a referral strategy into his process. And so that would have been something that he never would have had the connection, or would not have had that on his books without having that built into his process. So referrals and making sure that you've got a solid referral process built into what you're already doing is absolutely key to increasing your sales. And then also it's a great way to know that you're doing right by your clients as well. So just wanted to mention that. But let's say maybe you don't have a large client base. Maybe you're just kind of getting started and things are just getting rolling. David L., what do I do if I don't have a client base that I can ask for referrals or cross sells? Well, you might not have a client base yet, but you do have connections. Okay. So, and there's maybe some different ways that you might have connections. These might be personal connections that you've got in your personal contacts or database. I encourage you to scroll through. If you have not, if you're new in the industry and you haven't gone through the contacts in your phone and thought about, okay, who's my target fit client? And who do I know that fits this persona? Or maybe they know people that are of that persona, of your target market. It doesn't have to be that, you're sitting down with them. It could be that they might know some people and they can make introductions and connections for you. So go through your phone contacts and then also go through your social media contacts. So this is something in addition to optimizing your profile on social media, starting to post about what you do on social media. Actually take a minute. You have ever scrolled through your social media contacts before and just thought to yourself, like, who would be a good person for me to sit down and have a conversation with? Again, I want you to kind of take out the sales conversation out of your mind, just really thinking about good connections. Either they are your ideal client or they know your ideal client. And having those, again, it's going to go back to having those conversations with them. Ways that you can reach out to them that are not icky or weird. First, always approaching this as a learner, like you're really just looking to have conversations with people. I literally did this 2 weeks ago in our co-working space here that we're in. I asked people in this, like I just put like a company, or not a company, building wide notification out in our Slack, because I was needing to practice our sales framework and do practice presentations. I was needing to role play with people that were outside of our company. And so I put that out on Slack and I did that as a company-wide thing. So, and then there were some people that I even specifically reached out to that I thought, oh, they are either part of my target market or they know people that are in my target market or kind of sideways connected to my target market. So think about those types of connections that you've got and then make it a point to either reach out directly to them to see if they can help you. Again, this idea of asking for help is absolutely key. People are going to be willing to help you. People like that feeling of helping other people. So when you're positioning it that way of, hey, I need some help. Hey, I need a little bit of feedback. Would you be willing to sit down with me for 10 to 15 minutes? Again, to have that conversation. You'll be amazed at what kind of doors open for you based off of building up your connections and having conversations with people. David, anything else that you want to add to that? Because I think that people are always really resistant to this because it feels icky to them, or it feels awkward or weird. What would you say to that?
I once again come back to what you said earlier. I think that comes from people feeling like they're being salesy or like approaching them with the goal of like, I want to hard pressure them into a sale or have a conversation they don't want to have, instead of having from the perspective of, I want to come and they're going to help me in some way, whether it's just me getting to practice my presentation, and cool, at the end of the day they know a little bit better about what I do and I got practice, and they came from the perspective of, oh, they were helping me. That's awesome. And so I think that's a lot of agents are like really wanting to push a sale and then they end up with no sales versus continuing the relationship and having the conversation. A lot of people, especially the people that know us, are connected with us, they're usually happy to help. They're interested in what we do. But if we're always pushing something on them or trying to get them to make a purchase of something they don't want to talk about or whatever and stuff, well, then that's obviously going to end up pushing people away versus attracting them to what we want them to pay attention to and what we want them to learn, because we know it's important to them, right? And so I think that's a big part of aspect of how they approach it. A lot of people hear the warm market and that means, oh, these are people I need to go talk to and I need to go sell. And they don't want to talk to me. They don't want to be sold. That's right. No one wants to be sold, but people want information. People want to make the right choices. People want to do the right things for their families or for their health or for their possessions, but they want to do it where it's like they feel like they had more of a guide and a helper than someone selling them. And so that's where we really approach. And it might even be warming them up for more of a conversation in the future. I think a lot of people feel like, hey, if I'm talking to them, I have to push something right now or else I lose the chance. But this is the thing, there already are connections. These are the already people we have conversations with. So it's sometimes planting a seed that later on we get a chance to further have the conversation there. In fact, I know a lot of people, the time for someone that they already know actually takes a longer period of time, and they end up planting seeds, and then weeks, months later, cool, that person's like, yeah, you know what, I really need to do that. In fact, just had one of our agents over the weekend was someone they'd been talking to for a long time, was like, hey, yeah, you know what, I need to put that in place, a neighbor, and they sat down and put it in place over the weekend. But it was something that was planted over time. And so that's, once again, conversations doesn't mean always that the conversion's happening right now. It means that I might be planting seeds for later or for referrals. And so that's why the more conversations I can have a day, the more opportunities I have. If I'm not talking to anybody, I'm not generating any sort of opportunities.
I love it. What would be like phrases or like, what's the wrong way to approach that conversation, I guess? Like, what would you say that would be like the wrong way to reach out to contacts?
I mean, I think one thing is using like guilt, shame, things like that. I sometimes see agents use that type of stuff, or like, hey, you don't have life insurance for your kids, you're like not a responsible parent, or you got life insurance on your phone but not your family, or things like that. Or when we're using things like that, at the end of the day, it usually is definitely not going to result in a sale for you. And if they are going to purchase, they're going to go purchase someone else, right? Because people remember how you make them feel as a part of it. And as an agent, you should be coming as like a guide, a helper, a consultant, an educator that's helping them get to the right decisions, the right information, not as a salesperson. I think when people view themselves as in sales and someone who's a salesperson, then all of a sudden it takes on this, persona of like, oh, I'm trying to, overcome everything they're talking about versus I'm trying to educate them, which is really when it doesn't even feel like a sale. So, I mean, Kevin was saying like, I just don't know how to have the conversation without it sounding like I'm pushing, right? And so part of that is just like, hey, I just want to get you information because I think you might find this information is helpful or useful. And it's my practice for me to make sure I can communicate this really effectively because I know how important it is. Can you help me out for 15 minutes just by going through so I can practice kind of going through this information? And then also, then you got some information you can check out. If you got any questions, awesome, but fantastic. And so I think when it's not something that's going to be something today, and we take that off the plate, then it doesn't feel salesy. It feels like just a conversation and just education. So Kevin, I would very much approach it from, hey, I'm just looking to get people information and help educate them on certain things or answer questions and just be a resource to them. And when it feels like, especially the first interaction we have with them about this, or it feels like, hey, I'm just looking to get some information. Here you go. We can always talk later on in the future. I can follow back up on what you kind of think or whatever, and then moving on. They didn't feel like pressured off that first conversation, which I think where agents really are trying to make something happen right off the first conversation. They're much more open to continue to have this conversation later on. And so I think that's a lot of it's being a person and like communicating like how you would actually with another person, which is crazy because we'll be very social. We'll have conversations with friends, family, and all these interactions. But as soon as it comes to work and talking about something insurance related, our whole personalities change. We forget what it even looks like to be a human. And it's hey, you want this insurance? You need this insurance. Let's put this policy in place. Hey, it's time to talk about this policy. Have you looked at this policy yet or ever? And we lose what it even looks like to even just talk to someone. Hey, hey, how's it going with your daughter? Oh, I heard your son started baseball. How's he liking baseball? And all these conversation things that we would talk to when we talk to a person. We don't just walk up to a friend and say, hey, you got that money you owed me or whatever. Like we're talking to them and chatting with them, right? So it's the same thing here. Elle, anything you wanted to add on that as far as conversation wise?
I think the biggest thing is the mindset going into it. And it's kind of being able to disconnect yourself from the outcome. So the more genuinely curious that you can get about the other person, the better. And I really like this practice as far as like I'm building my skill set of having better conversations and asking better questions. And I personally really like the angle of like having conversations with people around market research. And it kind of, you can tee it up with people that you know, because it's like, hey, I'll take final expense, for example. It's our agency. We sell final expense and we have agents that are selling final expense. So a lot of the questions that are around market research is around like end of life planning and, questions. For me, because of my experiences and who I feel like I relate most to is people that have either had an experience where they've maybe lost a parent, or they are trying to figure out how to have conversations with their parents around end of life planning, around money that goes around that, around their final wishes. So for me, just based off of my kind of personal experiences, I do genuinely get curious and have conversations with people around this. And David can definitely vouch for this. Like we've been out late at night and it's like people that are our age in their 30s and 40s. And I'm having conversations with them about end of life planning for their parents and how that affects them. And so when I think about having conversations with people in the vein of market research, it is that I'm asking these questions, have you had this conversation with your parents before? Have you thought about sort of how this would impact you and your family financially if your parents passed without anything in place? Do you need help facilitating this conversation between you and your parents? What do you feel like is the block that is keeping you from having this conversation? So I think the more that you can have good questions like that and get genuinely curious based off of like how your product can truly help families and help solve problems, the more it's going to open doors for people to also then start asking you questions back on, well, how do the products work? What does this really do? How's it designed? How could this work for me and my family? And then you're moving it forward into more of a sales conversation, but you're never losing sight of being genuinely curious about the other person. So I think that's super key to the strategy working, and for it to not feel like you're getting that sales ick or the pressure. And it just comes down to being genuinely curious.
Love it.
All right. Good stuff here. Okay, David, last up here, we have actually just like going to your audience and like having conversations with them, whether that's in person or on social media. Love for you to share a little bit about that, as like just like going and making the connection with your audience. What does that look like in practice?
All right, cool. Let's talk about it. We're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about in person I'm going to talk about virtually, right? So going to your target audience, right? So let's give an example. One of our clients, their target audience is commercial truckers. And so they go right to that audience. So they go to the truck stops and they'll maybe either bring food or barbecue some stuff up or whatever that is. And they'll sit there and they'll chat and connect with all their target market right there and have conversations. Get to meet them, make friends, make these connections, and end up in getting actual insurance sales from this as well. And so you can go directly to where does your target market gather? Where do they hang out? Where do they spend time? If it's small business owners, are they spending time at chamber events? Are they spending time at networking? Are they getting together for Rotary Club or in-person volunteering together for the local city or for anything there? Or, is your target audience like, maybe if it's like seniors, are they spending times at senior centers? Are they playing pickleball? Are they gardening? Are they doing silver sneakers? Like, I want to find out, where does my target audience spend time? And if you don't know, that means you need to find out more information on your target audience and learn more about them, because this is only going to help in a lot of different ways. So one is going in person. Right? And I want to meet them where they're at. So a lot of agents, maybe if they're senior market, maybe they're even involved with like food banks or different things there where they're getting to meet their target audience in person while helping them as well. What's a better way to start establishing a relationship through helping and providing value in one way as well. So maybe it's volunteering the same organization your target audience would be at. So yeah, middle class families like Christy, like, okay, so cool. Where middle class families hang out, where they go on vacation, or they're probably involved in the PTAs for their kids' schools, or maybe they're probably involved in sports, or what kind of hobbies or activities, if they have kids, would they be involved in there? Like, that's the type of stuff I want to think through. And the better I know it, the more connected I can get with them and the easier it is to find them, right? So that's physically. So physically meeting them where they're at. Like, I don't have to create and bring them to where I'm at. I can just go meet them where they're at, right? And so the second thing is social media. So I can also go meet them where they're at on social. The more I know about their interests, their hobbies, their passions, what things they're involved in, the more I can go connect with them directly on social media through that as well. One of the best things being Facebook groups. I can find Facebook groups for my neighborhood, even in my city, my county, for like the school district, or for a different like fitness, like senior fitness, whatever those things are. There's so many different Facebook groups, and I can find the Facebook groups my exact target audience would be in, whether it's an interest, hobby, passion of theirs, organization they're involved in, and I can go connect with them there as well. So once again, I'm not having to bring them to me necessarily. I can go directly to find them and connect with them online as well. And that's just social media. I was just talking Facebook, but you got stuff like Nextdoor, you have stuff like Alignable, you have a bunch of different places where you can go connect with your target. LinkedIn online as well, if that makes sense. Elle, anything you want to add on there?
Yeah, so if you really want to bring kind of the in-person and the social media together, we've had clients that have had really good success with this. Kelly Spees is actually who I'm thinking of, that is known for commercial food truck insurance. It's not the only thing that she writes, but it is what she's built a brand around, and it's what she's become known for. But she would go to the food trucks and she would do social content at the food truck, and she would eat the food and she would talk to the business owner that, is there at the truck. And so she did that probably for a period of a year or more, almost every single Friday. We have some of our clients that are going to different types of businesses, whether it's coffee shops, juice shops. So if you're looking to connect with businesses in your local community, talking to them about maybe spotlighting them, interviewing them, and creating content where you can actually feature them, thinking about doing collaboration together. This is a fantastic way to provide value to that business owner, to maybe help them get some more exposure for their business. And it's a great icebreaker, like you can say, hey, I'm going around and I'm spotlighting the best coffee shops in Columbus, Ohio, or, wherever it is that you live. When you walk in, you tell a business owner that, then they're going to be pretty excited to be featured. So you can think about using social content like that to kind of help break the ice and, again, to open the door for conversations. It also makes incredible social content as well to be sharing on social media. So thinking about things that you can do like that, I've one of a different client than what David, the client David mentioned, that goes to the truck stops, but we've got a client that goes and interviews truckers at the truck stops, or if they've got an awesome trucking rig, she'll feature their trucking rig and the name of their truck and the whole kind of story behind the truck. So these are kind of pieces that people usually are pretty excited to participate in. They might be a little bit shy about it, but everybody, it always feels good to feel like your business or something that you're doing, people want to put a spotlight on and kind of shine a light on. So you can kind of think about using methods like that to help break the ice. And then again, it's getting you in front of your target market and it's opening that door to have conversations with them. So at the end of the day, just think about how you can be curious, how you can add value to your target market, being a learner, avoiding the commission breath. And I know it sounds counterintuitive because we're talking about getting more clients. Seriously, the more that you can put it out of your mind as far as attachment to a sale or an outcome, and more about having conversations, providing value, and really shining the light on having that activity of talking with people and having conversations, the more doors are going to open and more sales are going to happen. David, anything you want to add to that piece before we kind of wrap up the training here?
No, other than just like you're saying, make it about relationships, not about transactions. The more relational you make it, the more you're human, the more you connect with people, the more opportunities that come out of that, of people that actually do want to work with you, people that oh, this was really educational. I enjoyed meeting with you about that. I would love to connect you with some more. Or, hey, this is really great. I'm going to take a look at this. And yeah, I will get back with you a little with questions and stuff there. Or, hey, I know we connected over both having kids in this school or whatever, and there's plenty to keep talking about there. And yeah, we can connect later down the road as well. But that's the whole thing. The more we have relationships, the more opportunities come out. Where transactional, that's kind of my one shot, that opportunity. And that's where it feels pushy and it feels not natural. So we can have fun and it feel natural and not icky and not sales, and more like, hey, we're here to help people and educate them, and it leads to even more opportunities. So that's really wanted to emphasize there.